So this is absolutely a true story about a treasure hunt I went on. To find out what I mean by treasure hunt, check out exercise number 18 at www.JOYkwondo.com. About 8 years ago, I was sitting on my couch. My toddler daughter was down for a nap, and I'd finished everything I'd wanted to do around the house. For the first time in a very long while, I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm a very spiritual person, and at that time, I'd really built up my sensitivity to the guidance of what I call spirit. You may know it as the voice of God, your higher self, or even just your intuition. I'd learned years before how to constantly have a listening ear to that inner voice. This may seem like a totally crazy thing to some of you, but in exercise 18 of JOYkwondo.com, I show you that we all have this capability. We were created to have it. So in this moment of wondering what to do with myself, I thought I'd see what Spirit would recommend. The suggestion I distinctly felt was pack a lunch and bring a pack of diapers. I love when I hear very specific and very random guidance because I know I'm about to be led into something awesome. So I got up and proceeded to place some healthy snacks into a brown paper bag. I went in my daughter's room and quietly grabbed her last bag of diapers. She was newly potty trained and no longer needed them. I walked out the door with diapers and a lunch bag, and I asked, "Where am I going with this?" I felt led to the bus stop on the corner, but about halfway there, I realized it wasn't the bus stop I was going to, but behind the bus stop, which was the alleyway for the church next door. I didn't see anyone back there, but as I walked closer, I heard some people having a conversation. There were 3 people sitting up against the church wall, obviously homeless. I asked them, "Does anyone here have a need for diapers?" Sure enough, one of the women said her daughter was struggling to pay for baby needs for her newborn. The diapers I had to offer were much too big, but they were better than nothing. She gladly accepted. I also gave them the bag of snacks to share while they enjoyed the sunny day. The gentleman in the group asked if I attended the church they were sitting against. I told him, "No, I go to a different church. It's called All People's." The man lit up, telling me about how he went there when they first started and how he remembered the pastor and that the pastor would remember him like they were brothers. Not gonna lie, I totally doubted the story. So then the man says, "Tell Pastor Robert that you met Art and that I've been sober for 9 months." Well, that was great news, but I probably wasn't going to mention it to Robert because I was new to the church myself and still pretty shy. A couple of months later, I found out Art passed away. I was glad that I got to meet him and enjoyed a conversation with him. I felt kind of bad that I never asked Pastor Robert if he remembered the guy. Wouldn't you know it, Pastor Robert ended up giving a sermon about the history of our church. He went into a lengthy bit about a homeless man named Art, who was always showing up drunk, but he sure loved Jesus. I couldn't believe it. It turned out Art was actually a significant character in the origins of the church I'd been attending. As Pastor Robert finished up his bit about Art, he said, "I've just found out that Art recently passed away. I don't think he was ever able to kick his alcohol addiction, but I'll always think of him as a friend." Are you kidding me? Pastor Robert is telling the congregation about his old friend Art, whom I'd met, and was wondering if he'd ever become sober, which I knew the answer to. Do you know I ran up to Pastor Robert after the service and could barely get the words out straight. "Robert, I never told you, but I met Art and we had a conversation and how he was one of the founding All People's members and he wanted me to tell you that he'd been sober for 9 months. Rob smiled the biggest smile I've ever seen and said, "Well, praise God." He got back up on the stage and made the quick announcement to the still exiting crowd. I can't believe that really happened. I felt led to bring diapers to the bus stop, and it eventually led to my bringing happy news to a crowd of about 700 people. Legit.